Alright, no seizure inducing effect, no bullshit, let's just cut to the question. Did Jungle Inferno save TF2? Kinda, but not really. Let's take an in-depth look on what did the update really changed, and especially what forgot to change. And no, I'm not going to complain about these pyros everywhere, it's the start of the show, so obviously it's going to be in every server for the following months, just give it some time. Jungle Inferno delivered most of the stuff that was promised to us. A whole new contract system, a 5-minute SFM short, a new official map, and a whole new way to play Pyro. Sadly, there were no competitive changes like most of us were expecting on day 4, but with all this new content, it's understandable why they couldn't implement them into the update. Overall, after playing and experiencing everything that this update had to offer, I can safely say that this was very well executed. But not perfect. Some of the contracts, especially on the map ones, really make you feel like they just slapped a random digit to fill, without taking into consideration how much do you actually get to kill someone standing on a point or a payload. And a quick note on Mercenary Park, it's probably one of the prettiest map coming out from the TF2 team, but the layout is kinda confusing, and not to mention how defender friendly it gets at the last point, making most of the games a painful stall. But speaking of the new weapons, they either feel too weak or too strong, especially in the Dragon's Fury's part with its hidden strengths and broken hitboxes. Not the banana though, that's actually my favorite one. In any case, it was expected for it to not be a flawless update. We really just wanted new content to drive us to play the game even more, so I'm not gonna focus much on these things. What I want to point out is the glaring issue this game still carries over from the last 1.5 years, unbalanced games. Specifically, a struggling game coordinator. And to be clear, I'm not talking about the same things that have been discussed to death like random crits, random bullet spreads, or messed up hit detections. Clearly Valve has a fascination with RNG. I'm talking about queuing up for a casual match, ending up in a server with 5 people in the enemy team with purple and red icons, while you're working with a lot of greys. This very often leaves the average player met with the enemy team clearly more experienced than them, almost forcing him to leave the game to queue once again, with a match starting from a 12v12 to a 12v5. Usually what follows up is for one of the team to find each other in a completely empty server, with no other choice than go back to the menu and look for another game. And so the process begins again. I've been on both sides of these situations. And even if TF2 is an amazing game to test your skills against a player better than you, it can get frustrating to not have a fair match for an extended amount of time. But complaining about these things without giving a fair solution would be a pretty heinous thing for me to do, so here's how it could be all fixed. Auto balance. Take it and throw it in the trash. Since unbalanced matches usually consist of 3 to 4 really good players in one team top scoring, what I will do is pick some of the better performing players in a match and shuffle them. Try to meet a fair balance. This should absolutely not be happening during the game, since it would be unfair for a top player to end up in the enemy team after leading the push or clearing a point. Usually those team rolls don't last very long, so I would apply the shuffle to the end of the round. But you may ask, what's the point of switching players around if most of them are going to leave after the end of the game, either because they don't want to wait those 30 seconds for the map selection, or they don't want to reload the same exact map they just played again for the 5th time? And to this I say, extend the map rounds. Players are going to vote for the same map anyway 90% of the times, either for contracts or because they just can't get enough Dust Bowl. But I do realize this will be a problem for those who care about experience points. The game rewards you with those only at the end of a game, so an easy way to reward players with experience without needing to stop the match for everyone is to simply reward them after the end of a round. Players will not feel obliged to leave during the ending screen, and the game can continue, cutting down a lot of time spent waiting. Overall, doesn't seem something impossible to apply to casual, since it's very close to the team shuffle system already existing in the game. The only difference will be about players queuing together, in which case I'd say the system could simply prioritize solo queue players to get shuffled, and only if strictly necessary, ask one of the players in a party if he wants to switch team. I do realize that right now the TF2 team is probably very busy with the competitive update, so I don't know if we'll ever get any changes related to casual mode anytime soon. I know there is still community servers, but it's not very easy to find one running without stupid add-ons or Minecraft maps. In any case, even if it takes another year, I have faith that the TF2 team will address these issues sometime soon. Hell, maybe some competitive changes will carry over casual mode. All that matters is that Jungle Inferno brought the game back under a spotlight. Let's just hope that it won't get stage fright and make a mute scene.